The saloon keeper coughed. Duck's a bit of an odd duck, ain't he? Ned chuckled. Are you calling him a quack? Brown snorted and flipped a hand. Nah, I don't mean like that. Man knows his business as far as I can tell. He's a damn sight better than that fraudulent sawbones we had here before him. Doc Hicks. You remember that sumbitch? Ned nodded. I do. A preening know-it-all. Damn near every surgery he attempted had a fatal result. Lucky for him, he absconded in the middle of the night. He held up a hand, displaying his thumb and forefinger. I was this close to tying a noose around his damn fool neck after what happened to poor Nellie. Man didn't just get rid of her bad blood, as he called it. He rid the poor thing of every last drop she had. Brown's gaze went to the open bottle. He eyed it with longing for a moment, before getting up with a heavy sigh and making his weary way over to the bar. Returning with another glass and bottle a moment later, he settled into his chair again and filled the glass. That was a damn shame. Brown tossed the contents of his glass down his throat and filled it again. The woman wasn't even really sick. She was... What was the word Doc Richardson used when we told him about it? Hypochondriac. That's right. Someone who's always complaining about some ailment or other without any real symptoms. Ned drank some more. A sickness of the mind is all it really is. Imagining you're sick when you ain't. He grunted. Doc Richardson truly ain't like Hicks at all. Brown nodded. He's the closest we've ever had to a real city-type doctor. Educated and such. We're lucky to have him. But... He lapsed into silence, and his eyes began to get that glazed look again. Ned prompted him. But... Brown filled his glass again, and leaned back. But... He just seems... off. You know? He's always like that, but... He seemed to get particularly squirrely after hearing the bounty hunter's tale. Like something about it set off something in his head and got him all preoccupied. Some revelation. I asked him about it, but he wouldn't say anything. Now I can't shake the idea that he's got some big secret, which makes me nervous. You know what I mean? Ned laughed. Oh, I know. His smile abruptly vanished. Speaking of the story Russ told, you put any stock in anything he had to say? Brown pursed his lips a moment, considering it before shrugging. He's always struck me as a straight shooter. I'll say that much. Not a big socializer, though. He'll sit at the bar with his nose in a book for hours sometimes. He sighed. Russ loves his stories. Proper stories written down in books by educated men. But one thing he ain't is a teller of tall tales. Man has a low tolerance for horse shit. I don't see him just making up anything like the story he told us, improbable as it seems on the surface. Ned frowned, shaking his head. I don't know him as well as you, but that's not far off from my appraisal of the man. I just don't see how the things he described could be real, though. Strange little midget demons feasting on coyotes out in the goddamn desert, tearing the beasts apart with their bare hands, a days-old corpse returning to life. That's just not improbable. It's impossible. Brown nodded. I suppose so. But what was it Shakespeare said? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Ned snorted. I reckon a literary allusion is appropriate, given this is Russ Harper we're discussing. But hell, man, it's just as likely he hallucinated the whole thing. That happens to these lone riders in the desert sometimes, especially at night. You know that as well as I do. A man gets enough cactus wine in him, he's apt to start seeing all kinds of crazy things. I do know that. Mess with it in mighty strange ways. Yes, sirree.